Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namasami. So welcome everyone to the sutta study. We're going to be looking at a sutta today that is kind of a classic toolbox or toolkit for meditators. And welcome, Susan. So this is a classic toolkit for meditators, and there's quite a bit online if you want to look at other teachers speaking about the sutta. This is Majjhima Nikaya 20, and it's the last of the suttas that I've heard it called one of the trilogy, part of the trilogy of the suttas in the Majjhima Nikaya on thought. So the first one is the honey ball or honey cake sutta, which is a Madhupindika sutta. That's Majjhima Nikaya 18, and 19 is the Dvaita Vitakka sutta, which we looked at the last time I was leading the sutta discussion. That was before my retreat. And that's another really important one for working with the mind and meditation. Honeyball actually is too, but it's more about advanced practice when we're doing insight. And I think I may start looking at that one next week because it's almost yeah. If you were to go in sequential order of the way you should approach it, where you take the Dvaita Vitakka first, and then this one, and then the honey ball. That's the way. If you wanted to work with them in order as far as the depth of your practice. So I've put together a document to share, and I'm going to get it onto the share screen. So there we have it. So I would like feedback also if this is helpful or not helpful, how I've arranged things here. I have 3 translations. Mostly we're going to be seeing Ajahn Tanisaro's in full, but I've cut and pasted snippets or extracts, I should say, extracts from Bhante Sujato and Bhante Bodhi, Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. And then I've used the digital Pali translator to and pasted in translation. So we're going to look at the title, the actual title of this Vitakka Santana. And Ajahn Thanissaro has translated that as Relaxation of Thought. So as I was saying, this is Majjhima Nikaya 20. I'll make this larger. I don't think I'll do that right now. I forgot how to do that. It's a different format. So, here. I will make it larger there. Now I remember. There we go. It just looked different. So it's Majjhima Nikaya 20, Vitakasantana, relaxation of thought. Bhante Sujato translates it as how to stop thinking. And I don't particularly care for that translation. I mean, for some reason, he feels that's the way it should be translated. And Bhikkhu Bodhi translates it as removal of distracting thoughts. So we've got three different takes on what this Santana. So, and then when I went to the digital Pali translator, it says stilling of thoughts. So there's something in between stilling and relaxing and getting rid of them. Maybe it's all three of those. So Santana here is in the translator by itself. It's a relenting, yielding, relaxation, standing together. So that could be standing, but it says standing together though, so I don't know. Standing would be stopping if you're walking or running and then you stand, then that would be stopping. Stilling. The ta in here has to do with standing or being still or immobile. So we'll start looking at the actual sutta itself. And this is the removal of distracting thoughts. Bhikkhus, when a bhikkhu is pursuing the higher mind, from time to time, he should give attention to 5 signs. What 5? So here this word sign is translated a number of times. So that's Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. And now we're looking at Ajahn Tanisaro's. I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying at Sawati in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. There he addressed the monks. Yes, Lord, the monks replied. The Blessed One said, when a monk is intent on a heightened mind, there are 5 themes he should attend to at the appropriate times. What 5? So this is a higher mind or heightened mind, and Bhikkhu Bodhi says sign. Argentina says theme. And then Bhante Sujato, I don't have his, but I think he has, should have had that one closer together with that. Subject. So we've got theme, sign, subject, and a heightened mind. The adhicitta is translated as engaged in meditation, devoted to mental development, cultivating the higher mind. So this is a purifying the mind, preparing the mind for what it's capable of, the highest potential for the human mind, according to Buddhism, is a awakening the jhanas, sama samadhi, and insight, penetrating insight. So this is like the development of the mind, like being an athlete and winning the Olympics or something like that. I don't know. But so it's the person is intent, committed, devoted to this development of the mind. And here there's the nimitta, which is the different translators have as subject, theme, and sign. Nimitta literally is mostly translated as sign, mark, sign, symbol. And the teachers I've listened to who speak about this, and what makes sense in this case is a person is attending to a particular object of meditation, like the breath or loving kindness or body. So, but there are these themes or signs are also related to a method of dealing with the unwholesome mental states. So I'm hoping this isn't too confusing. Let me know if it is the way I've got it laid out this time. Give me your feedback. So here we go with the base of the sutta again. There's a case where evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion arise in a monk or a person, anyone, a meditator. When you see monk, just think of a person who's a meditation practitioner in this case. While they're referring to or attending to a particular theme, this is the nimitta here. In this case, this is the object of the meditation. They should attend to another theme apart from that one, connected with what is skillful. When he, she, they are attending to that other theme apart from that one, connected with what is skillful, those evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, he, she, they subsides their mind right within, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it. So what they're talking about, what the Buddha is saying here, is we're meditating and we have a particular object of meditation, and then we're distracted by these unwholesome thoughts. And this is not, if I'm meditating and then, I think about, well, what should we have? I'm a layperson might think, what should we have for dinner? And then just the thought passes, or did I forget to turn off the bathroom light? And then the passes. And something like it's pretty innocent and but if we start obsessing about something like I want revenge or something like that, that person was so bad, and then that just keeps escalating, and I keep trying to set it down, and it just like the anger and hatred is just festering, and look, it's a really bad, or we're just daydreaming, and I keep going back to the same daydream again and again. Oh, it's so lovely if I could go to Hawaii, and imagining that would be delusion and desire combined. So, and there's it's very persistent. Like when I was on retreat. I was on retreat for 3 weeks, and there was this persistent, there was pretty much delusion going on. And then I thought, oh yeah, this is very much connected with desire. And then it says this is delusion and lust. And so when you see that, you see the thoughts and you start trying methods. So this is talking about this method that he's talking about here is to change your object of meditation. So let's say I'm getting very angry and thinking about something that somebody said to me, and then I'm coloring this person like they're just this horrible, evil person in my mind. I'm just portraying them in my mind, or something like that. And I say, oh, this is ill will. This is hatred. This is really, I realize this is one of those they talk about evil, unskillful thoughts. So this is pretty strong, imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion. So I see that in myself. So if it's anger, I may, and I'm doing breath meditation, then I will change to another subject, like loving kindness is usually for that, the antidote would be loving kindness. So I'd try for my starting with myself, and then for some, doing maybe not for the person that I'm feeling anger and hatred at to begin with. That's actually not recommended. So you start with yourself, and then maybe you can get to all beings and include that person in the all beings. If you've been just kind of rage at that person or so, so you try to not think about them so much, but just change your away. Or if it was lust, they recommend a subha practice, so contemplating the parts of the body or something like that to abandon lust. Delusion is hard to spot. It takes quite a long time, so you might be lost in delusion for quite some time before you start to remedy it. So, but even just getting up and doing walking meditation and just really be open, having your eyes open and just bringing yourself into the present moment. Present moment awareness may be a good thing to, if you notice the mind is just dull, drifting, foggy, or lost in some kind of fantasy or something. So this is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation of an extract of part of what was just read. Take a mendicant who is focusing on some subject that gives rise to bad, unskillful thoughts, connected with desire, hate, and delusion. That mendicant should focus on some other subject connected with the skillful. So that's just a different, so that's, if that makes more sense to you than Ajahn Tanisro's translation. That's how it's worded. So we have these three unwholesome types of thought that may be arising, that, and this is when you start to apply your mind in these ways, rather than just, like I was saying, if just random thoughts are coming, and then you're aware of them and they just pass, and you're able to stay pretty much with your object of meditation. They just come and go. But if you're obsessing, it's, I think a key too is, it seems like it's an obsession. It passes, but it keeps coming up and keeps coming up, and then you get lost in it for a long period of time. And it's the same kind of thing that you're thinking about. So there's the three unwholesome roots, which is lobha, dosa, moha. But in this sutta, they talk about chanda, dosa, and moha. If you look at the Pali, I don't have all three of the compound words, but chanda, kama chanda is a hindrance. And chanda is not always unwholesome, because there's interest, intention. I mean, an interest or intention can be unwholesome, but there's you can have, like in sama vayamo, there's chandam janeti, so generating the desire for the bringing up the energy to apply the mind to something wholesome. So this is a vayama, has chanda in it. So the active part of it is the desire to abandon unwholesome qualities and to bring up wholesome qualities. But in this case, because it's in the list of chanda, dosa, moha, these, it's together, three of these together, then you know for sure it's an unwholesome form of chanda. And so usually it's loba, dosa, moha, and I have the translations here, which you can read. But each one of these, the dosa and moha, are connected with it's a desire. The greed is the thought. It's the thought that's connected. The thought's connected with desire. The thought's connected with aversion or ill will. The thought's connected with delusion. And that's and they talk about akusala is in there too. When they talk about skillful or unwholesome, unskillful and unwholesome is akusala. And these are words this is in the vocabulary that you should know because you'll hear teachers speak about these things. It says, so we should know what's wholesome and what's unwholesome. So connected with the wholesome. See, here's this word again, upasamhita. So this is, so we turn our minds to what is skillful, what's connected with the skillful, what's associated with the skillful qualities. So here's the simile that's associated with, so we're replacing, what we're doing is substituting or replacing. So we've lost our object of meditation. Our attention has been replaced by something that's unskillful. And now we want to replace it with something that will counter the unskillful thought. Just as a skilled carpenter or his apprentice would use a small peg to knock out, drive out, and pull out a large one. In the same way, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion arise in a person while they're referring to and attending a particular theme, that's their meditation object, one should attend to another theme apart from that one connected with what is skillful. So this is kusala. While they're attending to this other theme, apart from that one connected with what is skillful, then those evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, one steadies their mind within, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it. So Ajahn Brahm, I listened to a talk by Ajahn Brahm on the sutta, and he said that this is a entering jhana. The person has entered jhana according to his understanding of the sutta. And Bhikkhu Bodhi has translated this last part. With the abandoning of them, or the unwholesome qualities, his mind becomes steadied internally, quieted, brought to singleness, and concentrated. So concentrated, that's how samadhi has been translated. Ajahn Brahm and Bhante Sujato don't like that translation. Okay. So this is Bhante Sujata's translation of that end part. As they do so, those bad thoughts are given up and come to an end. Their mind becomes stilled internally, it settles, unifies, and becomes immersed in samadhi. So that would be a description of jhana. Entering jhana. And so we have here chitta, which is heart or mind. So the mind or heart becomes stilled internally, settles and unifies, and becomes immersed in samadhi. So there's a word, samadhiyati, is calmed, becomes collected, becomes composed, becomes stable. So I think that's so beautiful. And I think this can happen before jhana too. These qualities, we calm our minds can become collected and become composed and stable. So at least we can attain that, I think, if we do, even if we don't enter jhana, when we're able to abandon unwholesome mental states. So we can go from the mind just being really unwholesome, akusala, to being kusala and being, this is a beautiful state of mind to be in. So Ned, so we try this. Add, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion still arise in a person while they're attending to this other theme, we've tried it and it doesn't work. Our mind doesn't settle. Another theme connected with what is skillful, they should scrutinize the drawbacks of those thoughts. This is a dinawa. Adinawa is a Pali word for drawback, danger. And then you think, truly, these thoughts of mine are unskillful. These thoughts of mine are blameworthy. These thoughts of mine result in stress. As he scrutinizes the drawbacks of those thoughts, those evil, unskillful thoughts, imbued with desire, aversion, and delusion, are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, one steadies their mind right within, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it, brings it to samadhi, possibly. And the Bhante Sujato says they should examine the drawbacks of those thoughts. This is just the very short of it. So this is, I was talking about adinawa, danger, problem. And another number 2 is a disadvantage, drawback, unsatisfactoriness, inadequacy. So we think about, Bhikkhu Bodhi uses the word danger. This is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. He should examine the danger in those thoughts. Thus, those thoughts are unwholesome. They are reprehensible. They result in suffering. So, yeah, and I mean, in yourself, when you see thoughts that are heading in a really bad direction, because we're talking about greed or a desire, imbued with desire, hatred, or delusion. And we're obsessing on it. We tried one thing and it didn't work. And now we're obsessed by it. We can see that. So then we think, at the very least, this is distracting me. I came and set aside this time for meditation, and here even if I'm just, delusion, I could just be daydreaming about, like I was saying, going to Hawaii or something like that, and just lost in some fantasy or something like that, and it just keeps coming back. So then I could say, oh, well, also I was on retreat, and other people are doing things to help me support my retreat time. And I'm wasting my time and other people's energy that they're to support me in this, so you can think of it like this is not the thing to be doing now. This is the danger is that I'm losing my opportunity for practice. You can come up, or the danger is that I have ill will towards somebody, and that the danger in that is that the harm internally for myself having anger and potential harm to the other person when I see them, that they can read on my face my hatred towards them. So if I just cultivate hatred in myself, it's not going to end. And so whatever, to seeing the danger, saying, oh yes, this is a drawback or a danger. The drawback is that I'm wasting my time, or the danger is that uh I have lust for a person and I'm a monastic. I'm supposed to be celibate. The danger is that I could act out on the lust and then I'd be out of robes. So this is, for a layperson, you could come up with your own. Maybe I'll rack up my credit card. I'm obsessing on purchasing something and it's beyond my means or something. You think, what is the danger or drawback in this? But the main thing I think is that we set aside our time to meditate and we're just wasting our time. We're not accomplishing what we set out to do. So here's the simile that goes with this. Just as a young woman or man fond of ornaments would be horrified, humiliated, and disgusted if a carcass of a snake or a dog or a human being were hung around their neck. In the same way, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion still arise in the person while they're attending to this other theme connected with what is skillful, they should scrutinize the drawbacks of those thoughts. Truly, these thoughts of mine are unskillful. These thoughts of mine are blameworthy. These thoughts of mine result in stress. So we see the suffering, the stress, the suffering. As one scrutinizes the drawbacks of those thoughts, those evil and skillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion are abandoned, subside. With their abandoning, they steady their mind right within, settle it, unify it, and concentrate it. So this is I've heard teachers talk about this simile, and it's like when we're meditating, the aim of meditation is to purify the mind, but we're polluting our minds with thoughts of hatred or lust or delusion. It's like and then if you've had some experience with the mind settling and being more pure and being beautiful and being bright, and then you see this ugly thought has invaded the mind. It's like, like a dead dog or something like that. Uh, oh, um, so yeah, that then you're repulsed by it, and you want to just say, you want to just get rid of it quickly. So then, so we've tried two things now. We looked at the danger, and still, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion are still arise in the monk while they are scrutinizing the drawbacks of those thoughts. I would say after, not while, I would think. Because maybe you do, and the thought subsides for a little while, and then it comes up again. They should pay no mind, pay no attention to those thoughts. As they're paying attention, paying no mind, paying no attention to them, those evil and skillful thoughts are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, one steadies their mind right within, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it. So I think this is Bhante Sujato's translation, but bad, unskillful thoughts connected with desire, hate, and delusion keep coming up. They should try to forget and ignore them. So the word that they're translating slightly differently is asati manasikara. So this is really interesting because here we have asati. So sati is remembering. And when you have an A in front of a word, often it negates it. So not remembering. So they're not mindful, they're not remembering. And then we have manasikara negated here. So this is non-attention. So here we have na sati. So as in, and then it just becomes asati. Na manasi becomes a manasi kara. So mana has to do with the mind, pertaining to the mind, and kara is like action, the action of the mind. So the action of the mind is attention, bringing to mind, observing, noticing, focusing, literally making in the mind. So kara is making or doing. So, so you might recognize this word manasikara, and of course, you know, most people know the word sati as well. So this is the opposite of what we really want to be doing. So, but in this case, we're taking our sati away from or taking our attention away from what's unwholesome. Generally, this wouldn't be a good quality of mind, but we're intentionally just trying to forget or ignore this kind of invasive, obsessive hindrance that keeps arising. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to say, that chanda is associated with the hindrances. Kama chanda is one of the hindrances. So if you look at all of these as hindrances, we want to really, in this case, we've tried two other things and we just want to try and forget it, ignore it. Ajahn Brahm said the method of doing that, and you'll see in the simile why he says that, is that you focus on something else really strongly. So you really bring your attention strongly. Like one time I was noticing my mind was really scattered, and I really brought my attention to scanning the body really strongly. And then I was able to let go of that. So I would say the scatteredness of mind, persistent scatteredness of mind would be more in the delusion category, because it wasn't particularly, you know, unwholesome, like hate or aversion or desire or something like that, but it was just pretty much scattered. But bringing your attention really strongly to something else in order to forget or to disregard or to look. Okay, so we'll look at the simile. That'll help explain this too. So one should forget those thoughts and should not give attention to them. This is how Bhikkhu Bodhi translates what we're supposed to be doing. Just as a person with good eyes, not wanting to see forms that had come into range, would close their eyes or would look away, in the same way, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion still arise in the monk while they are scrutinizing the drawbacks of those thoughts, they should pay no attention, pay no mind, and pay no attention to those thoughts, as as he is paying no mind and attention, paying no attention to them, those evil, unskillful thoughts are abandoned, subside. With their abandoning, he steadies his mind right within, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it. So, yeah, this is what looking away. And another way, I thought of another kind of simile is like you're walking down the street and then you're starting to pass by a bakery shop and it's got a big display window. And you stop and you stare into the window looking at the cakes and things like that. And desire is coming up. And it's just like, you have to really look away, just like pull your attention away and say, I need to keep going. I'm going to miss my bus or whatever. I have to keep going. And so just really pull your attention away and say, I'm not looking at that anymore. Because if you keep looking at it, you're going to end up inside the bake shop and miss your bus. So it's the same with the meditation. Just get lost. And so you pull your attention away really strongly. So these, I think, in sequence, it's like really more strong application of mind uh, to pull your mind away from what is unwholesome, and then really to put it back on. Ajahn Brahm says, then you really try to stare at your meditation object to really strongly bring your attention back to the breath, or maybe something coarser like I did with the body scanning, and because the breath was too subtle for me to be able to stay with it. So then I guess I did a combination of the first one where you replaced one object with another. It's like from the breath to the body scanning really strongly, but it's like really like it's kind of a little bit more force of attention elsewhere. Then still it's like, okay, you've tried 3, and then here we have, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion still rise in a monk while they're paying no mind and paying no attention to those thoughts, they should attend to the relaxation of thought fabrication with regard to those thoughts, as he is attending to relaxing of thought fabrication with regard to those thoughts. Those evil, unskillful thoughts are abandoned and subside. With their abandoning, he steadies his mind right within, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it. So I think this is I've been the main text, if you didn't hear at the beginning, is Ajahn Thanissaro that I've been reading. And this is Bhante Sujato's the desire, hate, and delusion keep coming up. They should focus on stopping the formation of thoughts. So this is the Vitaka Santana, but it has Sankara in it here. Vitaka Sankara Santana. And it's translated as calming of mental activity, stilling of thought processes. So we have Vitaka Sankara Santana. So we looked at Vitaka. Vitaka in this case is translated as thought, and just plain old thought. And then the Santana is the stilling, or it does say stilling, calming. This doesn't say, it does say stopping somewhere. Oh, the standing, that was it. Standing is like stopping. So Sankara here, intention, volitional formation, choice, karmic activity, literally making together. And then it's I just took 2 out of like 7 on the list in the dictionary forms so the Sankara can take. And I think these were the most related to what's being talked about here. Sankara: function, activity, process, literally making together. So I just put this in the notes. This is my understanding. A Sankara can be understood as formation. It's either the cause or the result. So it's either the forming or what's formed. So this is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation of that sentence. Then they should give attention to stilling of thought formation. So you have to look at what is causing the formation of the thought, how the thoughts are being, why it's coming up. And then this is a note from the Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, his notes. And this comes from the commentaries. Vitaka Sankara Santana. So the commentary understands Sankara here as condition, cause, or root. So the condition, what conditions cause these thoughts to arise? Okay, I might start thinking, okay, I have a strong desire for cake. And that's because I walked past that window on the way to the bus and I stared in there. And now I'm sitting on my cushion and I'm fantasizing about cake. So that's an example. So understands here as a condition, cause, or root, and takes the compound to mean stopping the cause of the thought. So we have to look back. Where did it come from? This is accomplished by inquiring when an unwholesome thought has arisen. What is the cause? What is the cause of its cause, etc. So going back and going back and going back. Such an inquiry, according to the commentaries, is a Majjhima Nikaya. I can't remember the Pali word for the A, but it's a commentary, brings about a slackening. Looks like I got it cut off. I didn't get the whole sentence. So it slackens or it just loosens up the thoughts. So in the case of the cake, because I've eaten cake in the past and I know it tastes good, and it's like I have a desire for cake, and I'm seeking pleasure. I'm seeking pleasure at the tongue door. So if I start thinking in those terms so this whole fantasy about cake might just dissolve. And okay, sense desire, sense of seeking pleasure, seeking distraction. So you're just kind of looking at the causes, where it came from. Sometimes that'll loosen it up, and yeah, you look, but it just goes back to, okay, that's the unwholesome root. The unwholesome root is desire, and I want gratification. I want gratification so when instead of thinking, oh, this cake would be so delicious now and wonderful, and so I'm just seeking gratification. So it just kind of, yeah, so it breaks it up. So it's not as not as appealing. And as a meditator wanting to purify my mind, I don't want to cultivate greed. I don't want to cultivate desire. So so just looking at it in those terms may help. Okay. And here's the simile. Just as a thought would occur to a person walking quickly. Why am I walking quickly? Why don't I walk slowly? So he walks slowly. The thought occurs to him, why don't I walk? Why am I walking slowly? Why don't I stand? So he stands. The thought occurs to him, why am I standing? Why don't I sit down? So he sits down. The thought occurs to him, why am I sitting? Why don't I lay down? So he lays down. In the same way, giving up the grosser posture, he takes up a more refined one. In the same way, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion still arise, while he's paying no mind, and then he should attend to the relaxation of thoughts, thought fabrication in regard to those thoughts, and so on. I'm gonna, because we're running low on time, I'm gonna just ellipse that. So then the mind becomes settled, unifies, and concentrated. And this is the final blow. We've tried everything. We've tried four things. Suddenly, if evil, unskillful thoughts imbued with desire, aversion, or delusion still arise in the monk while he is attending to the relaxing of thought fabrication with regard to those thoughts, then with his teeth clenched, his tongue pressed against the roof of his mouth, he should beat down, constrain, and crush his mind with his awareness. So I don't think he's crushing actually the mind, but what's arisen in the mind. As with teeth clenched, as with his teeth clenched, his tongue pressed against the roof of a mouth, he is beating down, constraining, and crushing mind with awareness. Those evil and skillful thoughts are abandoned, subside. With the abandoning, he steadies his mind right, settles it, unifies it, and concentrates it. Well, the talk with Ajahn Brahm said this is willpower, and he does not recommend it. This is kind of a last resort. It's kind of like if I had ill will towards somebody and then I see myself plotting revenge, and it's really quite horrible. And it's like, oh dear, I just like, stop. No. So it's like, and then Bhante Sujato was translated, they should squeeze, squash, and crush mind with mind. So overpower the unwholesome state of mind with the wholesome state. And then I was looking at the Pali, and I just stopped because it was like it was getting worse. What the description, the translation, when I was looking at the individual words, Pali words, it wasn't giving me any solace at all. It was just sounding worse and worse. So it says, uh, Abhiniganhitaba, and then it should be tightly squeezed, should be forced into submission, should be forcibly restrained, literally grabbed tightly. So the mind is getting out of control here, I think, and then it's extremely uh, uh, wholesome, extremely unskillful. And so I don't know, sometimes I say to myself, stop, enough. I think before I get to the state, this kind of a state where I feel like I really would have to, grab hold of my mind and say, no, we're really heading in a bad direction. I would maybe do walking meditation. I would try to bring my mind to something else, try to settle the mind. I would be looking at the danger. I think another thing is too, okay, so Bhante Bodhi said he should beat down, constrain, and crush mind with mind. And then the commentary says here, he should crush the unwholesome state of mind with a wholesome state of mind. So then Bhante Sumitra was talking about this, and he was talking about that our wholesome state of mind should overpower. We should really bring power to that wholesome part of us. And some of it too, it's just like, if anyone's raised children and like a small child, or you're looking after a small child, and they're running out into the street, into traffic, you would just grab them and take hold of them and just say, no, that's dangerous. So I think looking just really the bringing up the idea of the danger and this kind of thinking, if it's just really gotten so bad that you'd have to resort to crushing mind with mind, the bringing so then the parent is trying to protect the child, so they physically stop them from running into the street, a small child, you know, and they're not intending to hurt them. Certainly they're trying, and that might be kind of startling to the child, or the child might get upset and angry at them because thought they were having fun or chasing their ball, or whatever. But yeah, I think this is really a last resort. And so the simile is about a stronger person seizing a weaker one. And anyway, that's just, and then the Buddha goes just as a summary of what he's spoken about. So so the last one is just, like I said, most teachers will say this is the last result, to really use force and say, no, don't stop. If you really see the mind is going a really bad direction, and for some reason you're obsessed, you know, uh, and you've tried everything else, that's when to use that last one. It's not recommended generally. So I'll just read this little summary, and then we could have a few minutes for questions, and then those who are online can stay on afterwards. So now, when a monk attending to another theme, scrutinizing the drawbacks of those thoughts, paying no mind and paying no attention to those thoughts, attending to the relaxation of thought fabrication with regard to those thoughts, beating down and constraining, crushing the mind with his awareness, steadies his mind right within, unifies it, and concentrates it. He is called a monk, or a person with mastery over the ways of thought sequences. He thinks whatever thoughts he wants to, and doesn't think whatever thought he doesn't. He, she, they have severed craving, thrown off fetters, and through right penetration of conceit has made an end of suffering and stress. That is what the Blessed One said, gratified the monks, delighted in the Blessed One's word. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Oh, I have just, we don't have time for that. That was last, that was the Dvaita Vitaka Sutta, but I think we're just going to close the screen share now. And this is describing an arahant who has complete control over their thoughts. And I think, like I said, you don't necessarily have to go that far with the being so forceful with the mind. So I'm going to stop the screen share. And does anyone have a question or comment on this sutta? I recommend reading the sutta again afterwards, one of the translations, Majjhima Nikaya 20. Susan, do you have a question? You're muted. Okay.
Oh, I was just waving.
Okay, go ahead.
Uh, I might talk in our Zoom after, but I'll I'll throw it out now. I think what I noticed. Oh, thank you for this talk. It's very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Not too confusing the way I did it, is it?
No, oh my goodness. No,
Okay.
never. You're very precise and go over what you're teaching, so it's very easy to understand and follow. Thank you. Um, what I don't notice so much of the trouble in sitting meditation. Uh, I practice mostly, where I have trouble is off the cushion, with this type of thing, these issues with and
Okay.
it's way more, I would say the one area that I'm not sure, uh, and maybe there's the lobadosa, maybe there's a few of them going on. So um, is I have sorrow, I would say sorrow, I notice for the world, sorrow, lamentation, grief, and it doesn't, it arises with contact with uh, politics or certain things will
Right.
set it off. And I try not to, I mean, I use this practice for that, but
Okay.
but I also think that I'm not sure how to see the world.
Okay.
If I'm seeing it with, it's probably delusion, because if there's sorrow, that means there's delusion. I'm,
Well, let me speak to that just briefly, and then we can end with the respects to
okay.
the Triple Gem, and we can talk. We'll stay on, and we can talk more about that later. But yeah, grief actually, or sorrow and grief is actually a not wanting. So it's yeah, so it's a form of desire because we want the world to be different. We want people to be kind. We don't want politicians to be dishonest and indifferent, or we don't want the law, the taken into the hands of people that are caring for things well. The people that are cruel and actually dishonest themselves. So we want things to be different. So this is a desire. It's not sense desire, but it is a form of desire. So when we see that clearly, and then also I always ask myself when I get angry rather than I feel sorrow or grief or something like that. And I hear about something that just seems like so, yeah, some more often lately I'm feeling sad about it. But when I was a lot younger, I would just be enraged and I would be ranting and raving with my friends who would also be ranting or raving about it. And so, but it is a form, it's anger and desire when it's like that, as a combination of we want things to be different. Why aren't they different? So, so, uh, so if you just put it in those terms, but then I ask myself, can I do anything about this? Is there anything I can do about this? Can I change the situation? Is my anger or my grief going to change it? And it's usually the answer is no. And then then I remind myself this is samsara. The only thing I can really effectively change is my own heart and mind. So my anger or my grief is not going to help me or help anyone else. So then when I do that kind of thinking, then it's those thoughts subside, or at least the anger and grief subside. Maybe they're not entirely gone, but my mind is not overpowered by them. I can recognize, yes, this is a sad situation. This is not right. But since I can't do anything about it, might as well not torment myself or other people around me if I'm ranting and raving with other people about it. I'm not helping them either. So, uh, yeah. So just bringing awareness throughout the day, like I think you're doing, is really important. And just awareness that this is not helpful, this is not skillful. Um, and then letting go as much as you can. Um, and if I can do something good in the world, I should do it. If I can help, like in my sphere of influence, what can I do? How can I help? How can I make things better? And so we find those instead of like something which is impossible, like changing the government or whatever, or corporations. Why are the why are the multinational corporations so corrupt or something and destroying the planet or something? I could go off on something like that, but can I change it? No, can't. Can't change it. So what can I do? What can I do to help? What can I do to help myself? How can I help others? And do that. Focus on that rather than what I can't, impossible for me to change. So just offer that for a suggestion for your reflection. And we can close with the homage to the triple gem. And then I'll turn off the YouTube, and those live can have a conversation if they wish to stay on. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagawa Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami. So thank you all for attending.